This is TWiT.
I guess I shouldn't
blue.
start with the Pro. I should start where Apple started, with what we now know will be called the Air.
Yeah, I wish that we had figured that out earlier on. We're always referring to the iPhone 17 Air, but it makes sense that just like with their budget phone, not just with, but it makes sense that if something that they may not want to commit to updating each and every year, it makes sense for them to say, okay, this is the Air, and this is the first generation Air. There will be a second generation, third generation.
They announced 4 phones. They did not announce an SE. This might lend some credence to the rumor that they were going to start doing releases twice a year so that they can kind of spread the production out and spread the sales bump out. But we did get 4 phones, and the Air is actually gorgeous, except for a giant camera bump, which they call the plateau.
Exactly, yeah. you know they weren't going to call it a bar or a bump. It's a plateau.
I call it a butte because it really, the plateau is a description of the flat surface on top, but really the dominant feature of this is the rise. You've got this very thin phone, it almost looks top heavy, and then this very large bump at the top.
It's a physics problem.
Right. You can't get the camera in the...
And the reality is, it's still, even though if you're going to reduce the number of cameras are still one of the most important part of the camera. So, most important part of the phone. And so that you have to give it the space that it needs to do that. I don't think that they can cheat their way. If they could, they would.
It's not just the camera. They said we also put the CPU in there.
A19 Pro, the same one as the
I heard
top
they put the kitchen
iPhones.
sink in there. They fit it
all in
slid it to the side.
I gotta say, I was very impressed because we've been discussing for months, like, oh well, there are a lot of people that might not mind having a lesser phone because they like the design or they like the style of it. I think the messaging, at least, of what they were saying, talk about the iPhone Air, is to make it very, very clear, at least in their messaging, that this is not a lesser version of the iPhone. This is a smaller, thinner version of the iPhone. You're gonna get here's and telling back to that opener about design, like, here's all the engineering and design we did in order to make sure there's room for a larger battery. Here's all the engineering and design we made to make it give it the fastest CPU in every smartphone, make it more, I'm quoting here, more durable than any previous iPhone, which is something that we're all going to be worried about. But having a super, super thin, saying that going to like this new frame design, we've got this new modem is up to twice as fast as the C1 modem, uses 30% less energy, the most power efficient iPhone ever. Using
they claim all day battery life, which is, it sounds like it's basically the battery life of the 16.
Yeah.
Because the 17 Pros have much more battery
and just think,
life.
now that it's that much thinner, you can now put it into a battery case that's
showed a special MagSafe battery that you could put on there, which really obviates the whole point of it. A lot of people are going to get cases, and those cases are going to be smaller now, so that's good. I mean, they have a new thin
case. Because like my phone is this big with the case.
Look, that's ridiculous.
Smaller with the case.
But it's nice to have that option, that if you're going out to dinner, if you're going out day to day, you have the smaller, lighter phone. If you're in New York for a couple of days on business, it's nice to I can slap a battery pack onto it that makes it about as thick as a regular phone and not feel as though like I do think
the battery case that a lot of people are going to put on this phone is just going to make it like the last phone was, but with a lot more battery. So
I think you don't need a battery case. I think the idea is if you can get through the day, and most people can, they do what you do, Alex. They charge it when they're sitting at the desk. The real question is durability, and they really doubled down on durability for all the new phones. They're saying they've got more durable screens. They've got this ceramic overlay. They're using glass front and back.
The thin one, like my wife puts hers in her back pocket, and I just feel like this is...
Oh, you sit on this.
And sits on it?
Yeah.
She does.
But no, don't. Get that crossbody strap and you can show off your...
That's the new fanny pack.
I thought it would go well with my fanny pack, actually.
You can attach it to your... What they need is a little strap that attaches to your fanny pack.
I see a lot of young women with crossbody phones. Usually they're kind of glittery and they have, but still, I mean, these look very... Yeah,
and it attaches magnetically, and I'm sure we will find out by people making YouTube videos and TikTok videos about this. But how difficult is it going to be to simply come by on a motor scooter and just yank that, just like you're taking a number at a deli? Just thank you for the phone.
I'm at the DMV.
Yeah,
that's what Keith 512 in our Discord says crossbody strap equals please mug me.
Yeah.
Well, no, but we know stealing an iPhone is
But
only
people
a fool's
crossbody
game.
their cameras.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, and I keep a hand on it.
There's like a web strap and it's like attached by really, really thick lugs. And if you try to yank it off of me, you're going to be taking me with you. And trust me, you don't want me with you on a motorcycle.
Yeah. They did emphasize that we've got the A19 Pro in here. It's not quite as fast as in the Pro phones, but
Correct.
it's pretty close. They've got neural processing. They got GPUs. They got ray tracing. What?
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing.
That was another reoccurring theme. They wanted people to make sure that this is a great gaming platform. You want to game on this phone, no matter in the entire line. All our phones are great for gaming. They're great gaming devices. You want to game on this? Okay.
The funny thing is, I think at least the games I play on my phone are not. Like ray tracing wouldn't make them any better, you know.
You can get Xbox games on iPhones now. So
I have to say that I don't know how many people on a small screen are going to notice the difference in the reflections that the ray tracing provides. Maybe I rendered a shiny ship for Star Wars without any ray tracing.
Right, but it took you how long? But how long did it take you?
73
It was
years.
45 minutes a frame.
A frame.
45 minutes a frame?
A frame.
That's
kids.
kind of
How
the
many
normal.
frames?
My longest shot was 239 frames.
Mother Mary.
And so
It took a week for you to render this image.
No. It would render overnight every night. I would render it because I worked on that shot for 9 weeks, 239 frames for 9 weeks. And so the and people would see like, what are you doing? You're on the same thing. I'm like, well, it's 239 frames, and everyone would be like, oh, okay, never mind.
Now we get it.
That's a lot of frames. And
That's 10 seconds of film.
But, in
That's
visual effects, you spend a lot of time. Now I think you could probably render something almost the same quality, in real time.
Right. So. This was Princess Amidala's ship, right? The
ship, yeah.
The very shiny, pretty one.
Yeah.
Was it? And
kind of looked like an iPhone Air. Come to think of it, yeah.
Not to make this into too much of a rat hole, but was that 1080 resolution, or what was the resolution that you were running at?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. So, but I think that on a show in front of a lot of people. But
I'm just asking because
it was roughly HD, which you see. Here's the hard part: is if you look at 4K versions of both Episode 1 and The Matrix, you'll see the difference where they did a lot of effects and when it was just film, because the sharpness is different. Especially The Matrix. I went to see it at the Dolby Cinema when they did a 23 release, and it just was like shocking. Like it was because we none of us could rendering. When you say 45 minutes a frame, rendering an HD or a UHD version would have been 4 times that. So it would have been 3.5 hours or whatever, a little over 3 hours to render every frame, and so it would that would have been unworkable. And so a lot of that was also calculated, to go on a rat hole for just a second. A lot of this was calculated on looking at what makes a difference on film when you watch it after it's been reproduced. So you strike the master and then you make copies of those. And some golden eyes went in and looked at it, like, when does the resolution make a difference so that we're not rendering any more than we have to? And so that's how the resolution was derived. But the problem is that didn't give it a lot of shelf life when we went to UHD, but you wouldn't notice it in the theater when it came out because people were pretty careful about it. But when you go to a theater when it was filmed back in the old days, you were looking at the 3rd to 5th generation of the film,
right?
As it was as those were struck. So that's now you see exactly the artist's intent from day one, and you see the same thing at day 180.
Now the Grand Moff Tarkin looks like a fish.
I mean, it's what's interesting now is again to go. I know we're not going to go into Apple Vision Pro, but where you really start to see resolution is the difference. You can really see the difference in resolution when you're looking at movies.
So do not watch Episode 1 in your Vision Pro, is what you're saying.
You still should watch it. You should definitely buy it. No, wait, I don't get any.
You should.
I don't get any royalties.
And look for, what was the name of that character? Slag Tofkin?
Rumslag.
Rumslag.
So here he is. This is my own. When I did it, they had me do a T pose, and I said, "What's the T pose for?" And they said, "For the action figure." I was
action figure, of course.
I'm gonna have an action figure.
Yeah, that would make me gasp too.
I keep trying to find it for you, but because there's a guy who's doing doing regular runs of custom like Lego Star Wars minifigs, and he does occasionally a run of Rumslag Lego minifigs.
Wow!
But I always miss it by this much.
Missed it
I
by that
collect.
much.
They had the part. They had the parts that were used to make the character on eBay, and I was so close. I was just like, I was like $550.
Buy your old costume
And you should get a
back.
discount.
Yeah.
No, it's all the
frankly.
pieces for the character. Yeah, I wanted to ping him and say, hey, that's
So that's me, and I deserve a $300
discount.
discount at least.
So not only does it have the new A19 Pro in the Slim, it has the new C1X in the Slim. It's
That's what they call
slim.
me.
I'm calling it the slim butt version. The promontory phone. It also has
No VPL. No visible phone line.
VPL on this one. There's it's not wearing panties, and that's the beauty of it.
Okay, moving on.
There we go.
It's the commando phone, we call it.
Oh my God.
They have the C1X. The C1X modem chip that Apple, this is the first time Apple's released the C1X. They had the C1 before, and it wasn't quite up to the Qualcomm standards of previous phones. This, they claim, is faster than on
X
the
stands
iPhone
for
16.
extra better.
Yeah, and better battery life. That's a big deal. It sounds like Apple's got the modem locked.
Yeah. Well, there's also a study. I don't have it in front of me, but a long-term study about. It was the company that does speedtest.net, I think. Ookla. And they've been doing a cumulative study in which they've concluded of the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 16e. It's basically as a comparison between the Qualcomm modem and Apple's C1 modem, and they've come to the conclusion that depending on the network, they're very, very, very close.
Oh, that's
if you've got
good
it,
to know.
it's basically it's very much local network dependent. For instance, in Japan, there's a very, very large gap between the two, simply because Japan's networks are 100% modern. In other countries, including our own, they're a lot closer because there isn't a whole bunch of fat on the table to go get at. So anyway, so it's not a failure by any means, and it's interesting. It'll be cool to see what the benchmarks are.
And one chip as well, so they have their Apple Intelligence hardware in there, along with the A19 Pro and the C1X modem. And one of the things they've optimized for is efficiency, because the battery is inevitably smaller.
Yeah, they came back to eSIM. What a brilliant way of messaging, of saying there are going to be some people that are complaining that, oh God, well, here's another, it's the headphone jack all over the GUI. There are reasons why I like to have a physical SIM. It's so easy to swap between 2 or 3 phones I have in the household. But they're basically saying, well, we were able to give you more battery life because we are such design geniuses. We took the space that was occupied by that slim SIM card, that SIM tray, and designed a better, bigger battery to fill that space. So across the product line, turning that into a positive.
I still think you're going to see Apple just slowly get rid of everything other than one big chip. You just open up the camera and there's just going to be a chip with a handful of other little things because it allows them to get smaller and more powerful and more integrated and faster.
They put so much of it in the plateau already. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is kind of nice. They have a little comparison. If you want to know what you're getting with the current phone models, the Air versus 17 Pro versus 17. And I was asking, and you were right, Micah, the biggest difference in processor between the 17 Pro and the Air is that it's a 5-core GPU on the Air and a 6-core GPU on the 17. In fact, you can really see this is really smart of them.
I like this. This is good.
So you know what you're getting. It's pretty clear. They are claiming 27 hours of video playback on the Air compared to 39 hours, big bump on the 17 Pro. But what's interesting on all the phones is they're claiming much faster charge time.
Yeah, they're very much touting this faster charge time because they've also released in the store what they call a dynamic power adapter. So this is a normally 40-watt power adapter that can charge up to 60 watts max for iPhones now. So they're saying, look, even if you aren't getting that full day battery life, plug this in for 15 minutes while you go, I don't know, have a margarita. I don't know what people do. And then come back and it's ready to roll. It's ready to go.
Well, and this may be probably less technology, battery technology, and more how you manage that power. You can dump an enormous amount of power into the battery until you get to it starts to get full. then you got to slow down, or you're going to, light it on fire, or reduce its overall health over time.
It's the same with EVs, with cars. They talk about charging to 70% or 80%.
And when they charge that really fast, the reason they're doing that is because they're just dumping it with an enormous amount of as much power as they can put into it, and then slowing that all down to let it cool back down again.
Yeah. That reminds me, I can't wait for the iFixit teardown of this. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to try to replace a battery, let alone a screen of this thing. It might be just buy a new one. This is a Pop-Tart. You don't repair it. You don't fix it. You just consume it.
Specifically the Air you're talking about?
Yeah.
Specifically the Air. Also the Pro, because they were making a big deal. We'll get to it, but they're making a very, very big deal about all the reasons why they went to an aluminium unibody design. And so that's I would be disappointed if they kind of took a step back, because they've been doing a really, really good job of making their iPhones easier to repair. Basically saying that you no longer have to disassemble the entire every layer of the phone to get at the battery to replace it. Now you can basically just flip it over, get at the battery, replace it, because the acknowledgement that replacing a battery is not always going to be as easy as popping by an Apple store that's in your neighborhood. Sometimes it's like, A, I can't afford to charge the prices you're charging. B, I don't have access to an Apple store and I can't afford to simply ship it off and receive it back. So iFix is going to do a lot of really, really great work for the community, and with their report.
They did keep the titanium for the Air, and they're polishing it to a mirror finish, and it actually
which I think is
pretty.
A travesty. I
Really?
love the natural look of
I do too. I have a natural. My watch is natural. Yeah.
I'm sad.
I agree. And I have a titanium band that's natural, and so it goes nicely together. The colors are fairly muted. I won't, I'll stand corrected, Micah, if I'm saying this wrong. Black, white, light gold, rose, maybe, and
that's
a
what
lavender.
we're used to from Apple.
Yeah. Very muted colors. I think the white would probably be the way to go, especially with that polished titanium. I think that's pretty gorgeous. And in fact, that's the model that they show. 80% recycled titanium. That's nice. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this highlight from MacBreak Weekly. If you want to see the whole show, we're every Tuesday. You can watch us live right here on YouTube, or just click the link below and download an episode, or subscribe if you really like it. What does it the kids say? Oh yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.